All right, for anybody that's joining, welcome to the Deliberate Action Podcast. We are going to be revisiting some discussions that we had offline, unintentionally offline, but we're going to be going over a few topics related to current events that are happening locally and globally. So the first one that we're going to...
Sorry, guys.
What's that?
Sorry, Dan. Sorry, guys. We had this whole podcast episode recorded, and then it cut off after 5 minutes, and we didn't realize, so we ran our sucks for another 45 minutes. On top of that, Dan and I are both getting ready to move, so busy world. But we're back for another episode.
Yeah, I'm actually taking a break from renovation projects to jump on here again. So the first topic that we'll go back to what had to do with awareness of your surroundings and your environment and not getting sucked into your own little world. Recently, about a week ago now, there was a gentleman up in Seattle waiting for the tram for public transportation. And in the security video, you can see a guy who sneaks up behind him and keeps peeking around the corner, waiting for the next tram to come by. The moment that it does, he shoves the guy, attempting to throw him onto the track. And fortunately, the victim was just far enough away from the edge of the track that he was able to catch himself and regain his balance, and then push back against the assailant, who, after another attempt at shoving him into the tram, ran off. Police did end up catching the guy, but the whole reason that it happened was because the victim made himself a soft target, not paying attention to his environment. He was on his phone scrolling through probably social media or texting and just not paying attention to his surroundings.
Yeah, if you guys watch the video, you'll see this individual within like 6 feet of this guy, within like 6 feet of the victim. And for a good minute, like far too long, way too long to be lingering and lurking. And this individual clearly did not have his wits about him, which speaks to like when I say I hate looking around and seeing NPCs walking around or non-playable characters. That's what this guy is, completely unaware of anything going on around him, to include an individual attempting to do him harm and lingering there for a good minute. And he's just completely unaware. So don't be that guy. That's all I got to say about it.
First line of defense is your own awareness and assessment of any given situation, and analyzing where a threat may come from. In this case, it was directly behind the guy because he did not have his head on a swivel. And goes to kind of point at the fact that right now there is no widespread attacks, mass casualty events that are happening around the nation, but there are going to be lone individual incidents similar to this, whether it's just some crazy person who's off his meds, or a local jihadist or some extremist of one type or another who decides to take it upon themselves to avenge something that they find offensive over in the Middle East, over in Europe. It could be in New York, anything that happens around. Just always be aware that something may happen and you can turn into a victim at any moment.
Yeah, there's far too much uncertainty, and there are people with a good amount of authority that are saying that things are like imminent threats to America. And so, like, you, as especially as a man, you do not get to be this oblivious and unaware. It's just there's too much going on. There's too much uncertainty. You don't get to be sucked into your own little world. And if you're a father and a husband, you certainly don't have any excuses to be a weak bitch and sucked into your phone all the time. Um, it's just it. I don't know. I don't get it. Like it's laziness. It's complacency. I really I don't get it.
Yeah, I think that the biggest threat that everyone has on their minds constantly, because it's always in the news at the moment, is the war in Iran, and whether or not they will have activists or sleeper cells that may actually rise up and create some sort of incident in order to terrorize the American population. I think the main reason that that has not happened yet is because Iran knows that a large percentage of the American population is against the war, doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Um, there's all kinds of uncertainty in America right now. There's talks about the draft, whether or not that's going to be needed if this turns into World War III. There's a lot of uncertainty and hesitation on the part of America or Americans. Iran knows that. They're playing it up, and they've even put out messages directed at the American public stating to that effect that they know America doesn't want the war. Their issue is with the American government, with Trump, with Israel, and not so much the American people. I think that Iran would definitely initiate mass casualty events if it came down to the point where their own existence and self preservation came into question, because they would need some sort of distraction on our own home front to kind of pull the government's attention away from Iran.
Yeah, and we're seeing similar stuff happening now as to what happened before 9/11. Nobody was for Israel. Nobody was for what was going on in the government. It's kind of convenient that we're right there as well. And I mean, although it's nice that Iran understands that the American people are not for this war, that only goes so far until all of a sudden, like, um, some sort of um, massive event happens in an attempt to rally the patriotism of America. Same thing with 9/11. That massive event rallied the patriotism embedded in every single American. And so um, I don't agree with us going over there. I don't. We got involved on behalf of another country who kind of likes to play little brother and go and slap the bully and then come running to us and get us to protect them. And it's kind of fucking annoying because they do it all the time. And it just, I, that means that there's probably something coming that we should probably be paying attention to, and try to become more prepared. And I'm not saying that I know the answer. I'm not saying that I know exactly what's going on. What I am saying though is that I don't support it. I also don't want us to lose. So I don't find it very beneficial to send guys over there and do a ground invasion. At the same time, I would prefer that our boys are taken care of and our boys get the job done if they need to. If they're there, then they have to, like, all right, we're there. We have to accomplish whatever the mission is. Otherwise, they all die. So I don't want that. I also don't want to be there. Two, both can be true.
Yeah, and it's pretty obvious that the government has definitely benefited from situations like this. Like you mentioned with 9/11, that brought about the Patriot Act, which gave us greater control and ability to spy on our own population. And now, with Iran kicking off the potential for World War III, there's almost no one who's questioning the installment of Palantir and AI and its abilities to spy on or on the people. I forget which AI company it was that refused to sign a deal with the Pentagon because their one stipulation was that their software could not be used to spy on Americans And for that, they were declared a logistical threat to the United States of America and banned from DoD contracting, even though they still used their software for the background and base that they built their AI platform on for the Pentagon.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of things happening in the background. And Andy Frisella, as I mentioned last time we tried to record, I was listening to an episode where Andy Frisella kind of breaks this down in a business sense. And he talks about how what goes on in the CEO's room and the CEO's office of a business, um, the employees understand about 10% of what goes on in there. So why do we think that the government is run any other way? Like, Congress understands about 10% of what is actually going on in the White House. We understand about 10% of what is actually going on in Congress. So I would caution anybody from picking a definitive side in any direction or listening to anybody that says that they have the answer. Because unless they were in that room, and odds are they fucking weren't, then they have no fucking clue. And so that is what I mean by saying there's so much uncertainty. We have the 10% that we are aware of. So the 1% of what is going on in the White House, if that math adds up, it probably doesn't. But so we understand about 10% of what's going on in Congress, right? And then the news picks that apart. They pick a side and then they disseminate that. So we have all this information. But then you get this stupid fucks that are like, yeah, no, this is exactly what's happening. And if you believe anything different, you're a retard. Okay, well, what makes what you're saying true versus what he's saying is true because he just told me the same thing. So am I retarded if I believe him and not you, or am I retarded if I believe him and not him? Like, these people that think that they have the answer are probably not the people to be listening to. It is your job as a man and as an individual who's responsible to protect and provide to take in all the information and make your own objective decision instead of just holding the pocket of whatever color you decide that day.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. And to your point, nobody actually knows what's happening. Even the people at the top are getting mixed messages. Historically, the top does not communicate with the ground very well. And even recently with the missing pilots in Iran after their planes got shot down, there was a lot of misdirection, misinformation coming out about that being given publicly, not just to like distract the American people or make them think that the whole rescue event was underway and that the pilots were going to be found, but also to throw off Iran itself. And even after that, the CIA came out and said publicly that they were feeding false information and narratives to the media to throw off Iran. And that itself could be a distraction because now Iran is thinking that anything that comes from the CIA might be false, might be true. They don't know which way is up. Everything that you see online, you just have to use some discernment, take it with a grain of salt, and assume that there may be some truth to it, but a lot of what you're seeing is just not real.
Yeah, I can offer a lot of speculation on certain things. Like, I can speculate that it doesn't appear that Trump and Mr. Beebe are super good friends in the back end. It seems like there's a lot of saving face and trying to figure out um, how to navigate a an evil cabal happening on the front end and the back end. But that's just speculation from what I can observe. But there's definitely some, okay, I won't use the word definitely, but it appears as though there is some conflict happening up top that it would seem is people are trying to navigate through. And we're not going to get all that information. And it doesn't make, all it does is it causes more of a problem for people to say, yeah, this is the answer and you're retarded if you don't believe it, or um, vice versa for the other party or the other team, right? So take in all the information. And there's also that is true, Dan. Like, there is an element of I can't, the whole world is watching us. Like, it doesn't make sense to give all the answers to certain things if the whole world is watching what we're doing and we're in a conflict. So we don't have all the answers. Some of it's by design, and some of it is because people are spewing their own opinion and calling it gospel. So
Yeah, and that goes on both sides or all sides globally. Every country has its own intel agency. They have their own agenda. Everyone's putting out something on social media. Half of Twitter, now X, is some random person from Indonesia or it's a bot. So there's a lot of falsities that are just being pushed out
bro,
and
do you see
up with.
the White House or Trump will post something on Instagram, and I'll like refresh my Instagram, and it'll say 12 seconds, and he has 65 freaking comments already, lengthy comments. Like, you do not formulate a thought, type that thought out. That I go in there sometimes. I'll go in there and say, "God damn the bots in this comment section,"
That's how you know
and
there.
they're all the same. They're all the same. God
Yeah,
bless Trump. Trump, we love you. You're the best president in the world, and it's by faceless, no name, 12 followers, 0 posts. Like,
and it's amazing how cheap it is for them to buy those kind of bots for feedback.
dude, yeah, it's you can, you can literally go buy followers and bots for like 12 cents per post.
Yeah. Speaking of disillusion, um, one of the articles that was put out recently from MIT was their study that they did on ChatGPT and how it is designed intentionally to reinforce delusions. Last time that we talked about this, you had a pretty good and valid point as far as the reason behind that. So I'll let you go into that.
Yeah, comfort really sells. People like to be comfortable. People also don't like to get better, but they like to pay for their way to feel like they're getting better. So, um, it makes sense that ChatGPT is designed to feed into your delusions and to convince you that your delusions are accurate, because why would we want a population that is actually getting better? Why would they want a population of individuals that are actually getting better? And if you take this, I hate like the industry of therapy. There are a few people that I can point to and say, yeah, you might need some therapy because of this situation that you need to work through. But even then, like, people who stay on in these programs for years and years and years and years and years, it is a very predatory industry, because you'll get somebody who comes in and pays a therapist 400 bucks, $1,000 a month to talk to this therapist. Now, what incentive does that therapist have to make you better? It's kind of like when our grandparents used to make fun of how often our parents would have to go get new appliances, because companies realize that if I create if I create a product that is very well put together, that will never have issues. Like, dude, there are older folk with the same fridge that they had when they were teens, because products were made to high quality. And then freaking companies started realizing that with the second you hand somebody the perfect product, they're no longer a customer of yours. So they went with the cheaper product, cheaper materials, so that now you have to replace that product every 3 to 4 years. You just replaced a stove. I need a I've needed a new stove since I bought my house. um, and why do we think that therapy is any different? Like, what happens if you stop paying your therapist? They are giving up their income. So what incentive do they have? And I'm not saying that this is every therapist. There are some good therapists out there. But the people that get sucked into this culture of, I need to go play victim to this therapist, it is the same thing with this chat GPT realization study. Like we thought that anything different was going to be happening. There's obviously a bias. And so if they can pacify a man's desire and will to get better and grow, and make him think that, you know what, the problems that you have, you actually need someone else to be dependent on in order to fix them, which is what therapists do. They make you think that you need them, otherwise you cannot effectively cope with this scenario that has been weighing on your life. I'll like Here's a good example. I hired a life coach. He worked with me as a life coach for about 4 months before I was like, all right, cool. I love everything that you have been teaching me. Now I would like to transition, because he's also a business and executive coach. I would like to transition from life coach. You've done some incredible work for me. Can we transition now into business coaching? And it was kind of crazy because we were both like already in line with that. He's like, dude, I was going to talk to you about the same thing. I think it's time to transition. Like, that's what a good mentor and therapist is designed to do, right? And if there comes a time, now we're in a community of business people, um, and that's a little bit more scalable for what he does. But if there came a time where I was like, hey man, I need to continue to progress, and I think that we've reached the cap on me and you working together, that would be an easy conversation to have, right? He's there to help people. That's what he loves doing. He's not there to take my money. He takes my money gladly when I give it to him. But if I had to have that conversation, it wouldn't be a sales pitch. And there's no way that he sits here with me when I meet with him once a month to talk business, and tries to convince me that don't I can't exist or live or be beneficial or successful without him. And that just happens to be what we've seen in this kind of industry. And so I'm not surprised that ChatGPT is ending up to being the same thing. Like, I talked about this on a post on Instagram. Victimhood is profitable. There's a reason why people who play victim on a regular basis do not go out and seek other people who are going to be a solid mirror for their victimhood. Like, and what I mean by that is, like, if I come to you, Dan, and I start bitching and moaning about why woe is me, nothing is going right, I expect that you would be like, hey man, you're being a bitch. Like, what's the solution to this problem? Right? The people that play victimhood, they don't want that. They want to go party with people that play victimhood. They would rather pay attention and focus on no farther than the weekend. They don't want to actually look at how can I get better and grow. They want to be able to go sit down with somebody, cry, bitch, and moan, get coddled, and then now it becomes this profitable exchange for each of them. So that when their buddy, needs to cry, bitch, moan, and be coddled, now they're there for each other, and they have a great friendship. Like, I will not allow someone in my sphere or my circle who's just going to try and coddle me or try to be a victim themselves. It's just not, I'm not here to profit off of your victimhood and or off of my victimhood. Um, so yeah, hopefully it makes sense. People don't need to get better if there's someone right next to them who's going to coddle them, and that just happens to now be Chat GPT. And it's also the reason why dudes are getting Chat GPT fucking girlfriends, dude. Why go out, do the work, become the man that I'm supposed to be so that I can get the woman of my dreams if I can just talk to this Chat GPT and this AI and have a girlfriend that way?
Yeah, we used to make fun of Japan having their anime girlfriends. Now it's everyone in the US. We definitely live in a society of planned obsolescence, if that's the correct word for it. Everything falls apart. The lifespan of appliances gets shorter and shorter. Same with cars. Now they're talking about doing a subscription model for vehicles so that you don't actually own anything. Same thing with the medical industry. Medical industry is designed to keep you fat, lazy, dependent on medication and appointments with your doctor, just like with therapy sessions for people. Although AI is about to put a lot of therapists out of jobs because people are going to AI for their therapy.
That's insane. It that's insane. Yeah, what incentive does a doctor? I call them drug dealers. Most of them are. There's good doctors out there, but uh, like, what incentive does a doctor have to actually cure you? And that's why people are like moving towards the preparedness and understanding how to take care of yourself. And like um, why they took ivermectin off the shelves. Like there's, I mean, ivermectin is known to cure cancer. Literally, studies have shown there's the evidence. The proof is in the pudding. So they take it off of the shelves because what incentive does a doctor have to cure your cancer?
And that's another rabbit hole with an anti-parasitic drug being a cure for cancer. And there's a lot of speculation that cancer is essentially parasites, tiny parasites in your body that create an immune response in your body, and cells start to then grow and populate. And the tumor being your body's defense to encapsulate and calcify that cancer so that it can't keep spreading through your body.
Yeah, don't get me started on why we got rid of the bells.
Oh, so many rabbit holes to go down for all of that. Maybe we'll the later episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to remember what else we talked about in the lost episode, if there were any other topics that we had covered.
Well, we can talk about Bill Gates releasing fleas and ticks into the wild and trying to make everybody allergic to meat. Because I don't know why that dude's still kicking. Honestly, I don't know why we're allowing this dude to fucking have so much like say in what we eat and so much overreach. And I mean, he literally openly says we're going to reduce the population with vaccines and and everything that he like. He does TED talks on this shit, and people are just no, he's crazy. And then it comes out where he's releasing chemtrails into Washington, and up until that point, I was a psychopath because I said that clouds aren't supposed to look like that. And then like now this tick thing where people are getting bit by ticks and they become, I can't remember what the actual like it's some type of disease or syndrome where you get bit by the tick and you accumulate this disease and now you're allergic to meat. I I don't I
And
can't like
allergy is life. Farmers have been finding boxes of ticks in their fields. So someone is out there putting them in the fields so that they get spread. And then they're going to be spread by wildlife, by cattle. They're going to get onto farmers, onto people. And these are just people who are just in the countryside, not in the cities. And it's going to spread from there. There was a recent declassified document. You mentioned cloud seeding and chemtrails, where basically the CIA admits that they have been doing weather modification since the 1960s. So that's going on 60 plus years now that they've been doing weather modification. After
yeah, which
people,
like
everyone conspiracy theorists for decades, and Lyme disease itself was invented by the U.S. government, and then that got released into the wild, and now there's tens of thousands of people in America suffering from Lyme disease, which is another tick-borne illness. Along with now we've got the meat allergy ticks. I think it's the Texas Lone Star tick that is spreading it.
yeah, it's I mean, weather modification was used in World War II. So if you don't believe me, go do your own damn research. I'm not going to give you all the answers. It was NASA has a documentary with what's his name, uh, Morgan Pierce or the dude I don't know some European dude who has a TV show with I don't know. But I've seen the episode where they talk about where they NASA shows their weather modification machine and they test it on the episode. Like and we're getting called crazy. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
Yeah, there's been all kinds of releases on it, and even now, after it's been declassified, there's states that have it on their their local state laws that they are banning cloud seeding and chemtrails, and yet people still don't believe it, and they still say it's a conspiracy theory. Like, why would North Carolina, for example, or Tennessee need to ban chemtrails above their skies if it's not real?
Why would Disney pay artists $60 million to add chemtrails into their cartoons?
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. And then it's weird because like you'll talk to a pilot. I don't like they know. Like, come on. You'll like I'll see a plane that is actually emitting properly, right? Like the what comes out of a plane, the vapors that come from the engine of a plane, what it looks like when it's actually just jet fuel. It disappears. Like you can watch as it fades away. Not these freaking things that emit and then get bigger and spread throughout the entire sky. That's not how planes work.
Yeah.
I'm no planetician, but something ain't right.
Have you ever heard of DARPA dust?
No.
So basically, it's a dust that gives off a signal similar to like having a QR, not QR scanner, but like the little chip that's in your debit card, credit card, where you just hold it close to a reader and then it can scan that and then you pay for something. DARPA dust is basically little dust particles that give off the same signal when they fall down onto you and basically coat you. You might not even see them, but anywhere that you go for the duration of the time that you haven't showered or haven't changed your clothes, that dust is on you, giving signals. And I'll have to send it to you after this. A friend sent me some patents for this dust that is now being authorized to be spread through the sky so that it then falls down onto the ground and can basically track people who have been injected with graphene oxide, which is in most vaccines now.
Yeah, anybody who says we're a free country, I think they're full of shit at this point. You got to be pretty crazy to think that we're free. And I am super sick and tired of these evil fucks getting to do whatever the fuck they want. Um, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, people know. Like, do we really think that like Donald Trump and JD Vance that they don't are not aware of what Bill Gates is doing? Like, do we really? Does anybody really think that? I'm pretty sick of it. So
Yeah, they all know, and that's why when they're campaigning, they'll say all this bad stuff about Bill Gates, but then when they're in the White House, they'll invite him and other tech people like Mark Zuckerberg to the White House to sit in on dinners and then join science committees or medical committees. Zuckerberg was just asked to be on some kind of stupid government committee, but now he has a say in what happens to the American public simply because he's well known and he's got billions of dollars. And he built a FBI government based social media platform.
that's a fact. There's documentation for that. So
Yeah. When that hasn't heard of it, research things called LifeLog.
yep. Yeah, man. I'm I'm ready to just go live in the woods and fuck off.
That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. And also, on that same vein of thought, for anyone that's not familiar with the WHO, the World Health Organization, during COVID, um, the Biden administration basically entered the U.S. into a treaty with the World Health Organization, which is in partnership with the UN. And the treaty basically gives them full reign and control over medical emergencies like pandemics, where they can essentially declare medical martial law and pass any mandate that they deem necessary for dealing with whatever the medical situation is. Trump came in, removed us from that treaty. And now, here locally in Washington state, our current governor has signed a treaty with the WHO so that now Washington state is re entered in that pact with the WHO so that they can have jurisdiction over Washington residents during anything that they classify as a medical emergency.
Yep, free country, right? Free country, huh?
Yep, never ends. You got anything else that you
Nope.
want
This,
to cover?
uh, well, just on that topic. This is why it's important to be as independent as you can, as prepared as you can be, um, because I don't know. We call that a clue. It's called a clue when someone is signing a treaty like that. So, last thing I would say is I did a post on this on Instagram about my new favorite word, pusillanimous. And so the definition of pusillanimous is an individual who operates and makes decisions out of fear. So when someone's calling you a pussy, your next response is probably not going to be "you are what you eat." So, um, pussy comes from pusillanimous, this word, and that is one definition. I'm going to give you the other definition. Um, Lacking strength or firmness of mind, wanting in courage and fortitude, being of weak courage, faint-hearted, mean-spirited, cowardly. So, to close it out, don't be a pusillanimous.
Yeah. And in addition, don't be weak. Get yourself physically fit, strong, be prepared. Stockpile enough water and food for your family, at least for a few weeks, just to have something as a starting point, a base. Just be ready for anything. Like they always say, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. So until next time, anyone that's listening, we appreciate you. If you got anything out of this, please give it a like and a share. Share it with anyone that you think may also benefit from it. And we'll see you next time.